You're listening to the Empty Nest Empires podcast, episode number 17. Oh boy, it's the end of January, and I am seeing so many people on my social media feed just saying, January was a brat. Can it just be over? Can it be over? Yes, it can. Let's put January behind us and move on. February is a new month, new beginnings. I'm excited for what's coming. Let's talk about it. Okay, your nest is empty, or it will be within a few years. So now what? Whether you know it or not, we are building empires. Empires of faith, family, fun, fitness, and of course, finance. And those empires are the legacy we leave for our loved ones. I'm Tammy Romani, an empty nester mom, grandma, and entrepreneur with a vision for ever greater things in the years ahead. It's never too late, and there is no limit to what we can do. I'm so happy you're here. Now let's get to building. I saw a meme today that said, January was a tough year, but we made it. Does it feel like that to you? Oh my goodness, it's January 31st. Finally, this highly anticipated month is over. I almost feel like January came with so many expectations that there was no way we could actually live up to that, right? So here we are, January 31st. Tomorrow's February 1st, actually a leap year. So we get 29 days in February. And I feel like we can finally breathe. I know so many people who were really disappointed with January. It did not perform the way they had hoped. It did not bring the promise of new things, new everything, new decade, new you, new year, all those things that were supposed to happen in January. I cannot tell you how many people were sick for like 2 weeks straight or struggled with figuring things out or were hit with financial things or just felt like, is this all there is? But you know what? I'm here to tell you, okay, January's done. Leave it behind. You've got February, March, April, May, the whole rest of the year. Please do not let January be an indicator of what the rest of your year is going to be like. So that meme, January, it was a tough year, but we made it. You made it. And we're going to keep going, right? We are. So today I just want to kind of wrap up January for you, put a bow on it, toss it in the trash if we need to, forget about it. A lot has happened in January, a lot in the news. I was in my life group this morning, and I meet every Friday morning with a group of ladies. We are very multicultural and intergenerational. So we have women there in their 20s and 30s. We have women there who are of every color. The hostess is Chinese. We have some African American ladies that join us. We have, me, the lily white person of no color. And we have really good conversations. So, of course, today the conversation turned to asking our Chinese friend about the coronavirus. I mean, what do we do? And she's actually spent 20 years living in Shanghai, which is largely closed down right now. And she had some really interesting things to say, which I think will come out in the future about what the source of this was and how the Chinese government has clamped down. But one thing I want to just kind of make clear to you is we don't know what we don't know. And this was really illustrated to me in two ways over the last few months. First of all, one of my friends, a woman in my life group, she was a doctor in China, and she is an immigrant. She came here probably gosh, I want to say 20 years ago. She could not practice medicine here, but she got every certificate she could based on her training in China. And so she runs this amazing, health clinic in my area where she does physical therapy, deep tissue massage, ultrasound, things like that, acupuncture. And she told me that growing up in China, she was never allowed to hear the news about our moon landings. So here she is. She's been in the U.S. for over 20 years. And when we had the 50th anniversary of the Apollo moon landing several months back, she said she was watching that news report and she just sat in front of her TV set and just cried and cried and cried at the beauty of it, but also at what she didn't know, that she didn't know. She never had heard that the U.S. landed on the moon. Never had heard that in her entire life. And to me, growing up here in the U.S., where that was such a huge part of my childhood, it was really hard for me to understand that. But then something really struck home last week about we don't know what we don't know. And that was that my pastor a couple weeks ago told us a story about the Birmingham church bombings. Now, I don't know if you remember this story. I did hear it briefly in history class growing up, but in 1963, the KKK, Ku Klux Klan, bombed a church in Birmingham, Alabama. Well, in that bombing, there were 5 African-American little girls in the basement ladies' restroom getting ready. They were tying their sashes on to come in to sing in the church, in the choir that day. 4 of them were tragically killed. And what we never heard was the story behind the one who lived through that. She was blinded. Her name is Sarah Collins Rudolph. And my pastor of my church is African American. He grew up in Mississippi, and he had never heard this story. She was always lumped into the phrase, there were 14 survivors. Okay, there were 14 survivors. Wow, but she was in the room with those little girls who were killed, and she did not die. She had health problems. She was told just to get over it. Somehow she managed to finish high school. She had a rough life, and still physical implications from her injuries and medical bills from her injuries, and she had never had any restitution. So my pastor just 3 years ago heard this story, and he just said, this isn't right. And he invited her to come to our church. He told our church, I want to give her a check. Well, in the course of a week, the members of my church, which is a very multicultural church. I mean, we are every color, every age, everything you can even imagine here. And $50,000 was given. And he presented her with that check with the saying that we want to begin the process of restoration for you from what was taken from you. Now, she's probably in her early 70s by now. But what a blessing to witness that. But it really also brought home to me, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what is withheld from us. And I'm not going to get political. You will never know how I vote. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to go there because I don't think it serves anybody to know anything about what I think politically. But I do want to just let you know that there's always another story. There's always a deeper story. And so that kind of brings me full circle to telling your story. How important is it for others to hear that part of your story that you're ready to tell? You don't have to tell your whole story. We all have thousands of stories. So I have this little group. And right now it's called Empire Builders Collective, but I believe we're going to be changing it to maybe Legacy Builders or something like that because I think that we kind of connect more in our soul with the word legacy rather than empires because especially when you reach a certain age, you kind of want to leave a legacy. Am I right? And that's really in our hearts. So I've opened up this little bit of a mastermind. It's kind of a strategy incubator, if you will, for those in the 40s to 70s age group who want to do something in terms of business or ministry or online business, or you don't know how to market your brick and mortar business, just something that will help you figure out and have other voices to speak into what you feel called to do. So if that's you, I hope that you'll continue following along. I hope that you will subscribe to my emails, which if you go to tammyromani.com/emptynest, that'll get you there. I'm going to be developing more and more of a strategy mastermind. And I'm really excited about it because just a week ago, we had our very first mastermind session and everyone came away so excited. So I'm really excited to present that to you. Let's get your story out there and have it translate into maybe some coins for you, some legacy building activities for you. This is just something that's on my heart that I'm feeling called to do, and I hope that it resonates with you. If nothing else, just follow along and see what comes out of this group, because I like to promote the people that are in the group, so in the future I'll be doing interviews with some of them because they all have something really unique to offer the world and to offer you. So short and sweet today. I just wanted to kind of wrap up January, tie it in a bow, and honestly, toss it over my shoulder because I think there are greater things ahead. Do not judge the rest of 2020 based on how January treated you, okay? Because January was a brat on some days, and I think February is going to be a lot more gentle with us. So, you take care. I will talk to you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.